the endless golden savanna of southern Africa, where dry winds carry ancient whispers and vast skies hold untold stories, lived an old lion named Baruti. For years, tourists, rangers, and nearby tribes spoke of this unusual lion who, every evening without fail, would climb the same rocky hill and sit silently for hours, staring toward the distant road at the edge of the reserve. He did this daily, rain or shine, through dust storms and glowing sunsets, during blooming seasons and harsh droughts. Baruti was different. He wasn't aggressive or loud. He avoided other lions, stayed clear of confrontation, and hunted only when absolutely necessary. The rangers noticed his quiet presence and gave him the name Baruti, meaning teacher in the local Tswana language. They said his eyes held the wisdom of an old soul, one who had seen things beyond ordinary understanding. But what no one knew was that Baruti was waiting, not for prey, not for his pride, not for dominance. He was waiting for someone he once loved, like a father, a friend, and a brother. It was 2015 when a young ranger named Michael arrived at the reserve. He had a strong build, a thick beard, and eyes filled with curiosity and compassion. Michael wasn't just doing a job, he deeply connected with animals. While others saw lions as majestic predators, he saw individuals with stories. He observed them, spoke to them gently, and believed they could understand. One early morning, on a routine patrol near the northern fence, Michael heard faint, desperate cries from the thickets. He rushed toward the sound and discovered a heartbreaking sight: a tiny lion cub, barely a few weeks old, trapped in a brutal snare left by poachers. The wire had dug deep into the cub's leg, and he trembled with pain and fear. Michael approached slowly, speaking softly. He wrapped the cub in his jacket and radioed for help. That was the beginning of something extraordinary. The cub, who might have died alone in agony, was rescued and brought to the park's small animal clinic. Over the following weeks, Michael cared for him, feeding him milk, treating his infected leg, and comforting him through nights haunted by nightmares. A powerful bond formed. The cub, once without a mother, name, or family, now had a home and a friend. Michael named him Baruti. As months passed, Baruti grew stronger and more playful. He followed Michael like a loyal pup, biting at his boots, pouncing on shadows, curling up beside him under trees. Other rangers were amazed. Never had they seen such trust between man and lion. But Michael knew Baruti couldn't remain tame. The wild was in his blood, and someday he would need to return to it. So, Michael began to prepare him. He taught Baruti to stalk prey, recognize danger, and trust his instincts. Slowly, he introduced him to different parts of the park, increasing the distance between them with each trip. Still, no matter how lion-like Baruti became, he never strayed far. Whenever Michael called, he came running. Their bond only deepened. Then came the transfer. A sudden government order reassigned Michael to another reserve, hundreds of miles away. He protested, pleaded to stay, but there was no choice. On his last morning, he found Baruti waiting by their usual rock. Michael sat beside him, stroking his thick golden mane and whispering that he had to go, but would return. Baruti nuzzled his face gently. As if he understood, Baruti stood still as Michael drove away in the park's vehicle. The lion ran after him for a short distance, then stopped, alone in the rising dust, watching the only person he ever loved fade into the horizon. From that day on, Baruti changed. He refused to join any pride, turned hostile toward other males, and avoided mating. He rarely roared. He kept to himself. Every evening, he climbed the same hill, sat beneath the same tree, and watched the road, waiting, watching, hoping. The rangers grew concerned. Baruti sometimes refused food for days, his behavior mirroring grief. Yet he never abandoned that hilltop ritual. Tourists began to visit just to see the lion who waits. Some believed it was legend, others dismissed it as animal instinct. But those who looked into his eyes, calm, searching, full of longing, knew this lion was doing something deeply human. Years passed. Seasons came and went. Fires blazed, then faded. Floods swept through and dried. New cubs were born. Old lions passed on, but Baruti kept waiting. 10 long years. Meanwhile, Michael's life was far from easy. He worked in remote reserves, battled poachers, and built wildlife projects. Baruti was never far from his thoughts, though he often told himself the lion had likely moved on, joined a pride, forgotten him. Still, part of his heart remained in that Savannah. Then one day, a fellow ranger sent Michael a viral video. It showed an old lion sitting alone on a hill at sunset. The caption read, "The lion who waits every evening." Michael froze. He recognized the hill, the way the lion sat, the way his mane danced in the wind. It was him. Without hesitation, Michael arranged a trip back. The park had changed, modernized, new staff, new systems, but the hill remained. He climbed the familiar path, uncertain of what he might find. Then, under the same tree, he saw a golden figure. Michael's heart raced. Could it really be? As he approached, Baruti slowly turned. Their eyes met. In that single glance, a decade melted away. Baruti rose, his body older, his movements stiff, but his spirit unmistakably alive. He walked toward Michael and gently pressed his head to his chest. Michael dropped to his knees, buried his face in Baruti's mane, and wept. Nearby rangers watched in awe. Some recorded the moment. The story of Baruti and Michael spread like wildfire across the internet. A lion had remembered a man after 10 long years. For the next few weeks, Michael stayed at the park, and Baruti stayed beside him. Like before, he rested near the camp, walked alongside the jeep, and watched the sunset from their hill. For a short time it felt as if the past had returned, but even the bravest souls grow old. One morning, Michael found Baruti lying peacefully beneath the tree, eyes closed, body still. He had passed in his sleep next to the place he had waited for a decade. Michael broke down. He buried Baruti beneath that tree, placing a stone that read, "Baruti, the lion who never forgot." Messages, flowers, and visitors came from all over the world. Artists painted his final sunset. Poets wrote verses in his name. But more than anything, millions were touched by the loyalty of one lion. Baruti's story wasn't just about instinct. It was about love that waits, loyalty that endures, and a bond between man and beast that defies words. For 10 years, Baruti chose not to live like other lions. He chose to wait, because love, even when silent, is stronger than time. If this story moved you, if Baruti's loyalty reminded you of the quiet kindness animals hold within them, then don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. The world needs more stories like this. Stories that show us just how powerful connection can be, even between a lion and a man, and who knows, somewhere out there, another Baruti might still be waiting.